Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video we're going to be talking about trinkets for Retribution Paladins, kind of an update from the Ret guide, where I said I'd talk more about trinkets because they weren't all simulated out yet. Now for the most part things have kind of gone chalk, but I would say there are more trinkets that are good than what was previously expected. So we'll just kind of talk about what trinkets are good, what content that they're good for. Been dragging my feet on this video a little bit. I spent most of my free time this week, getting my legendary axe crafted. So that took a lot of my free time to do that. So let's go ahead and talk about trinkets. Let's go ahead and start with raid because that's what I focus on the most, and that's kind of just what I play the most and stuff. So let's just focus on let's do raid and then talk about mythic plus slash AoE. There are some fights in the raid where you might want to AoE as well. So talk about going chalk. The Cataclysmic Signet brand, which I can put that on real quick. This was one of the trinkets that we expected to be very good. It did get nerfed right before, and it is very good. Of course, this trinket gets stronger the longer you're in combat. So if you're like doing end mythic bosses and stuff like that, this is going to be a very powerful trinket. If you're able to stay in combat mythic plus, it can also be a good trinket in there as well. But when you leave combat, it loses a lot of its value. Shorter fights, it loses a lot of its value. So you're talking like once everybody is like 490, some of those early bosses are going to be super fast. Skipping a phase in Nimu, for example, could be something that happens normally. And like you could just have some really fast fights, in which case you might gain value from other things instead. Probably, it's kind of nice because it comes off of that, and that's about it for Cataclysm Signet brand. It doesn't take any skill to use. It's a passive trinket. Stay in combat, and longer the fight, the more damage it's going to do. So this is one that went by chalk. It's still really good, and it's really good on prog if you are doing like end mythic bosses. Obviously, it loses value in heroic as well if your kill times get faster and faster in raid. So that's kind of what you want to judge your Cataclysm Signet brand on, is do I have a trinket? If I simulate if the fight takes 3 minutes, do I have a trinket that does more damage in 3 minutes than Cataclysm Signet brand does, right? It's very likely that the Signet brand might do more damage on a 6 or 7 minute fight than almost any other trinket on single target primarily. But for that 3 minute fight, for that 2 minute 30 fight, that might not be the case, right? So that's what you're going to be looking at there. We'll just go ahead and move on to the branch of Tormented Ancient. This is just from Gnarlroot. This is actually a really strong trinket. It's good for both single target and AoE. We are talking about raid here. So this is just a very good trinket. It probably is performing better than what people thought it would, but it's performing very well. I think people thought it would perform well overall, but it is performing quite well. Next one I actually don't have that we're going to talk about. And this is like one of the best single target trinkets, so it's very unfortunate that I actually do not have this. Let's go to Dungeons, current season, and let's go to Tel Dazar, loot, and right here, Resin's Gleaming Eye. So this is a very powerful trinket for single target. If you can get your hands on one of these, obviously it's probably going to work pretty well for you. It's just a very, again, no skill needed here for this. This trinket was expected to be very good and is very good. And it's the only thing unexpected really is that there's other trinkets that are also pretty good to go along with it. Since we already have this open, we'll just look at it here instead of looking through my bags for it. But Augury of Primal Flame, this one's been a very big surprise, I feel like, of how strong this is. Now it does matter of how many, like, when it procs. When it procs is probably the most important thing, right? If you get a really good proc on this thing, this is one of the best trinkets in the game for any content, really. If your procs are really bad, then it'll be, because it doesn't proc very often, but when it's procs, it's very strong. And so it kind of matters when it procs. But this is a very good trinket. If you have this trinket, especially if you could somehow get your hands on a mythic one, right? I know there's not a ton of mythic frat killers right now, so obviously there would not be a ton of mythic frat killers watching this video, but this is a very strong trinket. It is a bit RNG, but it's extremely strong. There's no doubt about that. And I think it's more strong for rat than maybe what people would thought. It's at least what I thought. It's stronger than what I thought it would be, for sure. And those, when we're talking about the raid, those are probably the 4 trinkets that we're kind of talking about the most. So Augury, which is very rare, Branch, which is very easy to get off the first boss, and Cataclysm Signet Brand. And then from Mythic Plus, the Resin's Gleaming Eye, again, when we're focused more on the raid. For as far as Mythic Plus goes, I actually have a pull up a site here. So you might know of like Warcraft logs and stuff like this, but there's like this site called Subcreation, and you could like look up Subcreation World of Warcraft, and you can kind of search through all kinds of things. This is just kind of telling you what trinkets people are using. And so I'm on Rep Paladin trinkets that are being used right now. And, you know, we have a lot of Resin's Gleaming Eye. Now, I think part of that is because raid trinkets are a bit harder to get. So we're seeing like Branch and stuff like that as well. So Resin's is just a good trinket. It's very good single target, but it's just a good trinket. So you are still seeing that. I do think that maybe there's better combinations to be used, that maybe they just don't have good raid trinkets yet, and yet they have a max eye level Resins or whatever, so they're using that. But, you know, for Tyrannical and other things, it's not that it's bad for multi-target or whatever, either. You see Branch being used here. So Branch is obviously very, very good, especially good on just like regular packs that you pull. You know, it does damage to other targets as well with the breaking of the roots. And so it's a very strong trinket as well. You see Augury. So here we see 2 raid trinkets as like the next most, as like the next used thing here at 6% or whatever, which is Augury and Branch. And this is in a higher, even higher key at 28 with this combo. So here you see the raid trinkets again, kind of showing their power here. Again, Augury could be good literally. If it procs at the right time, it's good for everything. It's very strong when it procs correctly. And then Branch, which is a little bit more controlled with that. And then we see an Ashes of Embersoul, which we didn't talk about from the raid. And then a Cataclysm Signet Brand. And then we have a Mirror. But we're mostly thinking about along the lines here of, in my opinion, when I'm talking Mythic Plus, I'm thinking, yeah, you could definitely do Resins. But I'm thinking Branch. I'm thinking Ashes of Embersoul. I'm thinking Augury. I'm even thinking Cataclysm Signet Brand on like Spiteful weeks and stuff like that, where I can stay in combat reliably. Now, if you're in a group, now it's hard. If you're in a team, it's kind of easy to stay in combat because you just go until your healer runs out of mana and absolutely can't go anymore, right? And you can kind of communicate that through Discord. So Cataclysm Signet Brand is maybe not the best one to use if you're pugging, right? You're going to be dropping combat a lot probably, so that's not going to be the best experience for you there. What I like to use currently, even though I have an Augury, is I kind of like using the double on use in Mythic Plus, at least right now, especially because we have wings up for basically every pull for the most part with 1 minute wings, right? It's nice to have an on use effect for almost every pull too, to kind of team with your wings. So I actually like the combination of Ashes of Embersoul with Branch having 2 on uses. Now Ashes of Embersoul use is not the absolute best, but I do kind of like that. But of course, I don't hate on any of these combinations that we see here the most. I think Mirror might be a little bit overrated. Again, I think that's kind of represented because of the fact that it is a Mythic Plus trinket, and so people doing high Mythic Plus, these are high keys here, right? They might not be doing the raid on a difficulty where they're getting, you know, and especially not getting handed trinkets. Maybe rating's not even their main thing that they do, and so like they're low priority. Eventually, they'll get the trinket that they want or whatever. But yeah, I definitely could see that. So yeah, Augury could be great, especially if you just want to like high roll a pull and do some really crazy damage on any particular pull. Branch is really, really solid. But for right now, I'm kind of liking the Ashes of Embersoul and Branch combination. Again, I mostly do pug my keys, so I'm not really running my Signet Brand in keys or anything right now. But yeah, I like on uses personally. It could matter though. You might be like, well, I like my Resins, and I think that's fine too, honestly. So very similar raid to Mythic Plus trinkets for different reasons, I guess, maybe. With throwing a little bit of Ashes of Embersoul into Mythic Plus, which I think is a solid choice just because it's an on use. But yeah, that's where we are with trinkets right now. I think, and like I said, I think the only real thing that's a bit you know, different from what I would have said in my guide. I'd have to go back and watch it, I guess, again to make sure. But I think the only thing real different is just seeing that branch is performing maybe a little bit better, augury performing a little bit better than what maybe people would have expected. Even something like ashes performing better. I think the trinket off Volacross might have been suspected to be decent, but it's actually not that good for Ret. So maybe that one would be even down lower or something like that. But I think, you know, the good trinkets are near the top, and, you know, it's mostly chalk. That's why I wasn't going to do a video, but I know people were interested in this. I've been asked multiple times. So I figured I'd put out the video talking about the trinkets, which trinkets are good, what content to use them in. That's kind of what the point of the video. So hopefully I was able to convey that to you. Which trinkets are good, what content to use them in, how to use them, that kind of thing. So that's it for this one, guys. As always, well, I guess I should say have a happy new year, because that's going to be happening as I'm like recording this video in a couple hours here. So have a happy new year. Please subscribe to the channel because it helps me out a lot. And other than that, everybody have a good one.